You are currently smushed into two pillows, so hopefully it stays like that. Um, I got a tell thing on my tellonym account a few months back asking about my style evolution over the years, which was too much to answer in one thing. So I had replied, I'm gonna make a video about it. And actually, it was the first video that I had made on my channel a decade ago, but at the time I didn't know how to change the settings from private to public, so I deleted it. Um, so here we go. Um, so my style evolution has like common waves and such. So when I was a kid, obviously my mom dressed me. She picked out my clothes that I would wear to school. When we go shopping, she'd pick out my clothes, stuff like that. And it was very, you know, what people consider normal kids' clothes, right? Um, I've always loved Sailor Moon. At the time, I really liked Annie Bracali. If you're francophone, you'll know who I'm talking about. I really liked her, and other, you know, things that kids enjoy. So it was just a mashup of normal kids' clothing. And I like never understood it, but I was like, whatever, it's clothes. Ugh, like fashion is not a big deal, stuff like that. My hair, I've always just had bangs. And for a while I had very long hair, kind of like I do now. And then for a while, and this was like in the early to mid 2000s, I got my hair cut really short, like up to my shoulders, just to make brushing my hair and stuff easier for my mom. And that's kind of where stuff stayed for a while. Like, I didn't have any, like, thoughts about fashion or stuff because I was too young, or in my opinion, I was too young. Um, One thing that has always stuck with me though is I have always loved makeup. Ever since I can remember, I have loved makeup. I would go into the Sears catalogs and also look at the toy section, but I would also look at the makeup and the different colors and like how you could combine everything. And I was always drawn to the more theatrical looking makeup. But as a kid, obviously, I wasn't really allowed to wear it. But I was gifted those little um, kids' makeup kits, and I would play with that a lot. And my grandma would give me some of her very old makeup that she didn't use anymore, like a red lipstick, for example, which whenever I that particular smell, it flashes me back to that. It was just like a red lipstick and an orange lipstick at one point. Um, but yeah, so I just play with that. And I have also always had some sort of fascination with more spooky things like the paranormal. Um, like, I, with my childhood best friend, I would regularly go on like ghost hunts. We didn't know what the fuck we were doing. Um, but yeah, we were both really into that. And that never really left me, like being interested in the paranormal and stuff. Um, but yeah, all that just like if I dressed myself, it was clothes that my mom would have picked, otherwise, my mom dressed me. And I started dressing myself, and in third or fifth grade, I can't remember what year, I decided I wanted to try and be very feminine because I wanted boys to like me, which didn't happen. I didn't succeed at being all that feminine, and I also didn't succeed at having boys to like me. If anything, I think it made the bullying worse. Um, but yeah, around that time, I was trying to think of like, what, how do I dress myself in a way that like people will like me and I will feel comfortable in my own skin. Um, and I had an outfit. It was a very like fancy outfit. It was like a tealish green, like a blue green. Um, it had a skirt, a top, and like a sheer cardigan over it. And I very shortly became obsessed with that outfit. Um, and I moved on from that. And for a while afterwards, I decided I wanted to just. This was also caused by bullying, jeans and hoodies, because I have, you can't see it here really, but I have hairy arms. Um, and this is between like fifth and seventh grade. So I wasn't allowed to shave my legs either. And I was getting hairy legs. And I would get bullied for both my hairy arms and hairy legs. So I would only wear jeans and hoodies over t shirts. It didn't matter the weather, it could have been like 32 degrees outside, and that's what I was wearing because I knew if I didn't wear that, I would get bullied. So that was what I wore for quite a while, like a few years, just jeans, a big oversized t shirt, and a hoodie. Um, Around people that I was more comfortable with, I took the hoodie off. It was jeans, oversized t shirts. Um, and around sixth grade, I had started trying to straighten my hair because, again, I was bullied for having this kind of hair texture. Because, you know, kids, I was the weird one. Um, I'm pretty sure I'm on the autism spectrum, and people knew that there was just something very weird about me. So, yeah, I would get bullied about everything, including hair texture. So, I would straighten my hair. But I didn't know how to properly straighten it, so I would just straighten the top layers. Like, I would take, like, this, for example, straighten that, and just lay that over the top of my head. The hair, it looked ridiculous. Um, and then some point in sixth or seventh grade, I discovered uh, the manga of Vampire Kisses, Blood Relatives, and Raven Madison. And I absolutely fell in love with her style and just like the books in general. And I'd go to the library regularly, so I was able to get those books. Um, and I thought she was just so freaking cool. Like she's like in mostly black. She's got lace and PVC. Uh, she's got spikes and skulls and chains and stuff, and like she's known as a town freak and embraces it and stuff. Wears black lipstick, all that, and I thought like she's so fucking cool. And around that time, I had also gone to Walmart, I believe, with my grandparents and seen a goth couple. Like what you would think of like a stereotypical goth couple, like all black, dark hair, dark makeup, and I thought that was really interesting. Um, I don't remember a time where I didn't have a fascination with more alternative subcultures, like asking my mom, "What is metal music? Can you like show me what metal music is?" Because I'm intrigued. Um, so all that combined together, I was like, shit, there's ways that you can dress that's not like literally just throwing clothes together. Because I don't know how to color coordinate. I've never known how to color coordinate. And I would get made fun of my outfits all the time because these colors don't go together. This doesn't look good and stuff. And I was like, it's clothes. How is it supposed to go together? It's a top and bottoms. Like, there's more to this? I don't understand. Or things of like, these are trendy and these are not trendy. And I never understood that. Um, so for me, clothes was just a way of, you know, getting dressed so you're not naked when you go outside. But I didn't know how to express myself through clothing because the clothing I had, I was like, ma, like I don't like it. Um, because it was just all very colorful clothing with like flowers and butterflies and stuff. And I do like flowers and butterflies and colors, but um, the older I'm getting, the more I realize that I don't like it on me personally. Um, but yeah, that was the only clothes I had. But when I had seen Raven Madison's outfits, I thought, I wonder if I can recreate those outfits. So what are you doing, cat? Um, so I was like, I'm gonna try and recreate Raven's outfits with the clothes I already have, which did not go well. So, when you read Vampire Kisses, it's one of the first pages where it's like introducing the characters, and the outfit she has a striped black and white tank top with an oversized, cropped, long sleeve black shirt over it. She's got a mini skirt that has like a bat wing um, edge at the bottom. With she has two waist belts, like one that's regular grommets and one that's studs, with thigh highs and chunky boots, and a couple pieces of accessories. And I thought that was really cool. And I was like, hey, how am I gonna replicate that with what I have? I had a burgundy tank top or camisole with like little spaghetti straps with lace here and lace on the bottom. I had a shirt that I believe may have been crocheted. It was kind of like a fishnet material and it was long sleeve. So I put that over it. I had a purple plaid skirt and some printed leggings, some like monochrome gray printed leggings. And that was my best attempt at recreating her outfit with what I had. And I only wore that in my room. Probably around my house a tiny bit until, I got bullied in my house as well. But especially wore that in my room. And I felt really cool. I was like, whoa, look at me cosplaying Raven Madison. Um, I just I felt like a badass and I felt like myself and stuff. And I started styling my hair like slightly differently because my hair was long, mostly straight, no bangs at the time. And yeah, I would experiment with more things. I had like a dark gray and black striped like sweater dress thing, with a belt that went around the waist. And I would pair that with black pants or black leggings and some kind of black bottoms. And I felt so cool. I felt like such a badass. I would also play around with my like makeup kit at the time and just make more bold, kind of like what Raven Madison's makeup looks like in the book with like dark lipstick and dark eyes and stuff. And I never wore that to school because I knew I would probably get beaten up for that. So at school, I continued to just wear t shirt, hoodie, jeans, um, and kept that experimentation at home, mostly in my room where I knew I'd be safe from ridicule. Um, in ninth grade, I tried to, and this probably was not noticeable to anyone else except me. Also, I went to high school with uniforms, I tried to be like all the normal popular girls. So I tried to understand like what people were wearing and why they were wearing it and trends and like trendy music. Um, I tried to get into One Direction because they were getting really big. Um, and for most of ninth grade, I was just trying to fit in, even though at the time I had, I think, less than a handful of friends, because it was a new school with no people. I had less than a handful of friends, um, and I was too shy to talk to the popular girls. So like, those efforts were kind of pointless. But I tried. I was like, I'm gonna try and be uh, one of the cool, popular, normal kids, um, and it didn't work. At the time, I was getting really into Avril Lavigne. Around that time is when her song "Smile" came out, and whenever it come on the radio, I'd be like thrilled. Um, and I've been an Avril Lavigne fan since I can remember. Like when like Skater Boy and Complicated and stuff came out. Like I yeah, I was about like 5 years old or something, and I was in love. I loved the way she looked. I loved her music. I've always loved that Avril Lavigne ever since I was a little kid. Um, and the era of Smile, from the album, is it called Goodbye Lullaby? I think that's what the album's called. I loved the way she looked in that era, and also the era of her album Under My Skin. So I started trying to incorporate some of that into my style. Um, And at that point, my go to makeup look was blue mascara and white eyeshadow. Again, because I was still trying to like look cool, but also like didn't know anything about makeup. Um, and then I discovered, more so discovered Mariana Trench. I had heard their songs on the radio multiple times in the past, and knew I enjoyed their songs, but I didn't know who they were, and I didn't know the same name the songs were. I just knew I liked the songs when they came up. And then that's when I really discovered them. And that led me into the Marion Trench rabbit hole, which then led me into, along with Avril Lavigne, led me into a pop punk rabbit hole, which would then lead me into like a more post hardcore rabbit hole. So it was around that time where I started listening to like Black Veil Brides, Pierce the Veil, a little bit of Falling in Reverse, um, stuff like that. And that's when I had started seeing that this style I've always been drawn to from like Raven Madison, and being interested in like the gothic subculture and seeing that goth couple at Walmart, I was like, what if I were to try doing that? Which with uniforms is very hard to do, but I tried doing that like with my hair as much as I could and my makeup as much as I could. So I started experimenting with black eyeshadow and black eyeliner, and just the color black. Um, is when that's around the time that I really started experimenting with the color black, which technically is not a color, it's a shade. I know. Where do we go from there? So that's like ninth grade to 10th grade. There was a period where like I still wanted to be Raven Madison so bad. And I would wear like the most crazy getup I had, which was not crazy at all. It was probably like a black shirt, black pants, black shoes, but that felt crazy to me. But I would still feel very uncomfortable, so I would go back to what felt comfortable, which was the clothes I would normally wear. And at the time, I was like, I really want some black, chunky boots, like Demonia's. I didn't know Demonia was a brand at the time. I just knew I wanted like black, chunky boots. I wanted to look like Raven Madison. In my mind's eye at the time, and still now, I saw myself like with a getup, like in black with big chunky boots, with spikes, with chains, all of that. that's how I viewed myself. Here's a mosquito. And around that time, I started discovering, like, seeing an emo as, like, styles and subcultures and stuff. I never was quite able to get into the music, but for most of high school, um, that's how I dressed for the most part. So I was starting to be allowed to thrift clothes that I wanted to wear, um, which was fantastic. So I was able to start building the closet that I wanted, and I was allowed to dress myself within reason, because my family were quite strict, and I went to strict Catholic school. I had started, like, training my hair into being more of a, like, scene fringe. I didn't have bangs, I don't think, at the time, but I was like doing a thing where, like, you grab more of your hair here and you bring it over like this, and you clip it to the side. And Raven Madison had like an X shape um, hair clip that you would put in her hair. So I would use those extra long bobby pins to form an X shape in my hair because I was that cool. Um, and then I started layering my hair at the hairdressers, which is something that I have come to do many times over the years. And I started getting seam bangs. Hello, this is a different outfit on a different day because I had been interrupted. I had gone to the hairdresser to get the, like, classic seam emo fringe, um, and she didn't do a great job. It was alright. It wasn't what I wanted, but, like, can't necessarily blame her either, right? So she gave me the basis at least, um, and I had started cutting my hair at home. Um, I would look up a bunch of tutorials from, like, at the time there was like Shoelacy, Minty Oreo Stacy, Hannah Hacksaw, uh, Riza Fox, to learn how to style my hair the way I wanted it styled. And it did comply with the dress code at school because I my hair was my natural color, which is like this. Um, it complied with the dress code, and also there was a couple girls in my school that had the side of their head shaved. So I was like, I just have a slightly different style of hair. I have like layers, and I just have like weird looking bangs. Like, who cares? There's no unnatural colors in it. I still got shit, well, kind of got shit for it, but I was like, can't do anything about it. It falls within the dress code, so fuck you. Um, and at school, I had started wearing like darker makeup, um, darker nail polish, as dark as I could get. I didn't start wearing black nail polish until like further into high school, and I was wearing, like, little black heart earrings, or fake tapers. I started wearing fake tapers in like 10th grade. Um, and by that point, I was also doing a lot of DIY stuff. I had a really old, like, tie dye t shirt, and I scribbled a bunch of Mariana's Trench lyrics all over it, and that was like my band shirt for a long time because I couldn't afford anything that wasn't like second hand. So, like, the thrift store, I couldn't afford. It's ironic, like, this is from the thrift store. Um, but yeah, I was starting to piece together things that I wanted. Um, Actually, I have this was a profile picture I had for a while. Everything in this picture is secondhand or DIY'd. Um, and I was experimenting with different hairstyles, like drawing on my face, like I had a little heart um, coming out of my eye, drawn on my face. Yeah, I started drawing more on my face, started drawing on my knuckles and stuff, to like mimic face and knuckles tattoos, and just trying to accessorize in a way that felt more me, doing my makeup in a way that felt more me, and my hair, sorry, that felt more me. And I kind of stayed like that for a while. Um, I had a couple of studded belts. I remember that I'm gonna name a few accessories that I had that I remember so vividly because they were like a staple of mine. I had a belt, it was a black belt with black and rainbow pyramid studs on them. Um, I had another black belt that had like weird studs, like th- they're supposed to be spikes but they've been sawn off, right? I have that. I still have a piece of that actually. I had these arm warmers, like these really long arm warmers, and they were black and rainbow striped. Um, I wore those quite a bit. I would wear them either as like a fashion accessory or under my blouse at school for a slightly darker reason. You guys know I've struggled with self harm since I was about 15 years old. Um, and these were sheer white blouses. And there were a few times where, like, I raised my hand to ask a question, and the sleeve would come down, and you could see all the wounds. So I started putting these arm warmers underneath, just so no one wait to see them. So that's kind of the dark reason why I started wearing them at school. Um, but I would also wear them uh, just to accessorize. I also had a black flower hair clip, and it had like little. I don't know if they were little pearls or if they were actually like pieces of hot glue. All of this was either thrifted or given to me by friends that didn't want these anymore. But it was a flower about this big and it was black and it was supposed to look like a dewy black flower. So I would clip it in my hair all the time. I probably have a picture of that here too. This picture also has my t-shirt that I wore so much. A black t-shirt with a big light pink skull in the front and tiny little light pink skulls all over. And you can see in this picture, uh, this was my 16th, 15th or 16th birthday, I can't remember. And I'm wearing cut up fishnets as a fishnet top because I had started doing that because of videos I was watching, and I started doing that with tights too. I have a picture here with my cousin. I'm gonna blur her face out or just blur her out in general because I don't know if she wants to be in this video. But I started doing that with tights too. These were the only tights we could find at the dollar store when we had gone to do them, so that's why they're like a shitty gray color. But yes, and this was from, I had learned this technique from Ashley Brie Boresk, I believe is how you say her name. I'll pronounce it here. Um, and these names are probably like, you guys probably know them if you were like a scene or alternative kid in the 2010s. Because, like, at the time I was following like Lita Monster Bunny and Kiki Cannibal because of her like coon tails that I so badly wanted. Um, Venom, Verena Schizophrenia, there was Emmy Ecstasy, Olive Elf. There's a lot of people that was like following or keeping tabs on because I just love their style. And maybe I'll put pictures up of the pictures that I had saved on my phone all throughout high school. because they inspired me so much that they you know, they switched something in my brain, and I was like, I can style myself like Silash, that's another name. I was like, I can style myself like this, and it's really cool. But then I started realizing that I don't know how to style color, and color kind of stresses me out. So I started going more towards black or just darker colors. Um, I didn't have any real style inspiration from that. I guess some of Avril Lavigne's earlier stuff, like I said, like Under My Skin era, some Black Veil Brides influence. Yeah, I was just trying to figure out like the elements of scene and emo that I liked. But instead of trying to dress up exactly scene and
I'm
emo,
not quite sure how to help you with that.
sorry, that made me jump. So yeah, I was trying to figure out how to style myself in a way that didn't make me feel overwhelmed. I put this picture up because it's cute. I felt cute. Um, I'm wearing a fake septum ring in that picture because I knew at the time, I've known this since I was 15, that I wanted my septum pierced and my snake bites. Um, so I would wear that fake ring regularly, like outside, which is probably embarrassing to everyone who knew me. Um, Same with wearing fake plugs or fake tapers because I really wanted to stretch my ears. I still do. I'm waiting for my lobes to heal again, and then I want to really invest uh, in a proper stretching kit. But that's a whole other video. Um, but yeah, really wanting my ears stretched. Couldn't do it. So I was like, fake tapers will do. Um, I had this random red hair extension, just like a single red hair extension, and it had black coon tails. So I would clip that in my hair. I don't know where that went. It probably fell out of my hair at some point. Um, I had this green glitter eyeliner that I also used, and I used this strictly because it reminded me of the green in Avril Lavigne's music video for Smile. That's also why I got my first pair of little fishnet gloves. Um, and they were green, I believe, because I think hers are black. I think mine were green because they were the only colors I could find. So I started wearing fishnet gloves because of Avril Lavigne, wearing arm warmers because of Avril Lavigne and Raven Madison. Um, I think that mostly sums up my style in general in high school. I did start dyeing bits of my hair in high school. I started off with blue streaks in my hair for Mariana Trench concert. Uh, then I dyed the underside of my bangs blue, and then uh, near the end of 12th grade, I dyed the underside of my bangs red. I got shit for that, but I was like, you know what? I graduate in 3 months, and I'm a good kid. I never had detention, never got suspended. Um, what are you gonna do about it? I graduate in 3 months. I get good grades. Fuck you. Um, that was my thought. Um, had that, and then I went to college, and around August or September of that year, I discovered it's Black Friday. And that's how I discovered goth music and realized that goth is this whole subculture and not just a fashion element. And that's when I really got into it. And at this point, I had wanted chokers for a while, but I wasn't allowed to have chokers. Um, or really anything spiky, which pissed me off. I wasn't allowed like chains or spikes or whatever. And like in retrospect, I can understand choker spikes chains. Usually more of like it's commonly seen in BDSM, right? So obviously, like your parents are not gonna want their teenage daughter to be wearing that. So my first choker was a DIY choker, and it was terribly made. Because I didn't know what it was doing, but I would eventually get my first choker when I was like 19, I think, maybe 20. I feel like I was a very late bloomer for a lot of stuff, but yeah, I don't feel like my style has changed much since I was like 20, 21 years old. Um, like I stretched my ears up, then I had to like shrink them back down, stretch them up, shrink them back down, both ears. Um, I experimented with hair, like I grew out my side bangs. I shaved the side of my head. Then I gave myself bangs, grew those out, cut them again, grew those out, gave myself V bangs, had that for a while, then went back to straight bangs, then all that stuff. Um, and I dyed my hair like various colors of blue, red, purple, black, orange, um, unintentionally green, not like my full head. The only time I've dyed my full head is half black, half red, and then black. The rest has only been like bits of my hair that I've dyed. Like my bangs, like I've bleached my bangs, I've dyed my bangs, I've bleached streaks in my hair, I've dyed streaks of my hair. Um, I've gone no eyebrows, growing them back out, no eyebrows, growing them back out. Same with makeup. Like I started really experimenting with like colors and different shapes and like doodling all over my face. All of this, doing a whole lot of experimenting, and then the pandemic hit, and I've been struggling to get back into makeup and like styling myself since the pandemic. But currently 2026, I'm still struggling with it. I'm getting slightly better. Um, Actually, this top I had bought in 2017, I think it was. Yeah. Um, so this top has been with me for a long time. Um, and I guess that's kind of the end of my style evolution. It still evolves, like I still have some pieces that I had in high school or college, and then pieces like this where I've gotten like as like a very very young adult, um, and playing around with different stuff, especially now that like I'm disabled, I can't work, and also when I had started working, I didn't have as strict codes with makeup and my outfits and stuff in my hair, so I was able to put crazy colors in my hair and be a little more obnoxious with it. um, and there's still a lot of stuff that I want to do and learn and play with and stuff. Um, so that's been my style evolution video with hopefully pictures. Um, and I've been DIYing a lot of stuff over the last few years, um, just to like kind of step foot into different styles and stuff because I figured if I'm DIYing them and it's for something specific I want to try and it goes to shit, well, there were materials that I tried to recycle anyways. So I tried giving them a second life. It didn't work. So I feel like I'm able to give myself grace for that a little easier than like I thrift a bunch of stuff and then I'm like, oh fuck, I actually don't like how it looks, and then I have to like, get rid of all that. Um, like I made this spider web shirt thing. It's like all pastels because I would like to incorporate pastels a little bit because I do like color, just not clothing wise, because it overwhelms me. Um, and I do want to do a DIY collection video of, well, things that I've DIY. I mean, that's a DIY collection video. Um, and I think that's the end of this video. I don't know what else to say. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this was like coherent at least. I don't think this can be interesting at all, but we'll see. Um, and this was completely unscripted, so that's probably why I'm feeling a little weird, especially because I haven't filmed like a proper video like this in months. I think since February or March. So oops. Um, but yeah, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.